Do you see it? There are signs of desperation everywhere when it comes to the vice president and her campaign. So much so, last week she tried to say that the former president is somehow fatigued and unfit and unstable. None of that worked because we all see him every day out there on the trail, at McDonald's, at a rally, doing podcasts. He's everywhere. And she, much younger, much more energetic, I thought, took a day off. 2 weeks before the big day, she took a day off, which is crazy. Then she walks back out today and says she's going to do a press conference. First of all, this video is going to be a little bit longer. Stick with me because I'm going to play all of her comments from today. I'm going to give you my commentary as we see it. But she took the day off, walked out and said she would do a press conference. Now, a press conference by definition is you walk out and the press asks you questions. She's done none of those. She's not done any of those where the press can just launch questions at her for a period of time, and she answers those questions on the fly. Nope. She walks out today, calls it a press conference, which it wasn't, and she doesn't take any questions. Just makes a statement that she's reading. I guess she needs to take a day off to get the statement written for her and get it a little bit in her mind. But she walks out and says this. Now, this is big-time desperation, because suddenly now you're not going to have the people around the former president that he used to have around, so he's going to have unchecked power.
So yesterday we learned that Donald Trump's former chief of staff, John Kelly, a retired four-star general, confirmed that while Donald Trump was president, he said he wanted generals like Adolf Hitler had. Okay,
so let me stop you here. A little context to John Kelly. You become the chief of staff because you're hired to be the chief of staff. The person who hires you to be chief of staff is the president. So this guy got the opportunity because Trump hired him. And he got fired. Trump fired him. So this guy has been speaking badly about Trump for years now. But now, 2 weeks before the big day, he's got this huge revelation. Because for 5 or 6 years, he didn't know that Trump said these things. He just now remembered, I guess.
Donald Trump said that because he does not want a military that is loyal to the United States Constitution. He wants a military that is loyal to him.
Yeah, Trump never said any of that. And she's reading this. Now, again, keep in mind, there is no proof whatsoever about anything she's saying, nor what the fired John Kelly is saying.
He wants a military who will be loyal to him personally.
Again, he's never said that, but she's got to read these words because she's losing.
One that will obey his orders even when he tells them to break the law or abandon their oath to the Constitution of the United States.
He was in there 4 years. When did he do that? Because he could have done that at any time. As the commander-in-chief, you can literally tell them to do anything you want. When did he try to do that and make them break the law? I just want to know. Again, John Kelly's saying it doesn't mean much. He got fired.
In just the past week, Donald Trump has repeatedly called his fellow Americans the enemy from within.
No, he hasn't. He actually talked about Adam Schiff and Adam Schiff's Russia stuff, that hoax that he still continues to back up with no proof whatsoever. In Donald Trump's mind and in the mind of many of those watching and listening, Adam Schiff is a bad guy, and he tried to take down a president with lies and innuendo, and he's still just like serving in Congress. So calling one person an enemy from within and who should be investigated is not a bad thing.
And even said that he would use the United States military to go after American citizens.
He didn't say that. He said that Adam Schiff should be investigated. I mean, use the National Guard if you have to. He didn't say some generic American citizen.
And let's be clear about who he considers to be the enemy from within.
Adam Schiff, or those who bring lawfare, or those who circumvent the Constitution to persecute their political rivals. That's who he's talking about.
Anyone who refuses to bend a knee or dares to criticize him would qualify, in his mind, as the enemy within.
Absolutely unfactual. This is her making things up to scare you. He's never said anything even close to that. Not even a syllable of that has ever been said by the former president. She's just lying because she's desperate.
Like judges, like journalists, like nonpartisan election officials.
He never said any of that. He literally said, use the law to go after people who are the enemy within. And then he mentioned Adam Schiff. He didn't mention any of these other people, but she's trying to scare you because she knows she's in a really bad place.
It is deeply troubling and incredibly dangerous that Donald Trump would invoke Adolf Hitler, the man who is responsible for the deaths of 6 million Jews.
Can you imagine how desperate she is? Somebody who has not even taken a firm stance in defense of Israel winning a war. Can you imagine being this desperate to say what she's saying right now after taking a day off because she must have been exhausted, then reading this statement, which is ludicrous, from a guy who got fired?
And hundreds of thousands of Americans. All of this is further evidence for the American people of who Donald Trump really is.
Right, we know who he really is. He's been in the public fray for 50 years, and he was the president for 4 years, and he did an incredible job. Much better than Biden has done, much better than Harris has done, even better than Obama did. And I'm not sure I understand how she thinks this is going to work. Does she think that people who are going to vote for her opposition are going to hear this and go, I can't vote for him now?
This is a window into who Donald Trump really is.
And by the way, you're not allowed to ask who Kamala Harris really is, because if you do, you'll be in trouble. You just have to believe she's a middle-class person who grew up in Oakland, which none of that's true.
From the people who know him best.
General Kelly doesn't know Donald Trump best. In fact, he got that ass fired.
From the people who worked with him side by side in the Oval Office and in the Situation Room.
Right, one guy, John Kelly, who got fired.
And it is clear from John Kelly's words that Donald Trump is someone who, I quote, certainly falls into the general definition of fascist.
Okay, and again, this is John Kelly calling a guy a fascist who fired him. Kelly can't get over the fact that he lost his job for being really bad at it.
Who in fact vowed to be a dictator on day one.
Okay, he was joking with Sean Hannity saying, I was not going to be a dictator. Well, maybe for one day. He was joking. Kamala Harris either knows that or doesn't have a sense of humor.
And vowed to use the military as his personal militia.
Never ever said he would use the military as his personal militia. That's a lie.
To carry out his personal and political vendettas.
Never ever said he was going to use it to carry out his personal vendettas. That's just not true.
Donald Trump is increasingly unhinged and unstable.
So unhinged that he's at least even, if not beating you in every poll. And again, I don't really put much credence into polls, but the unhinged person is the person who walks out and says, press conference, doesn't take any questions, makes a statement filled with lies based on one guy who got fired.
And in a second term, people like John Kelly would not be there to be the guardrails against his propensities and his actions.
John Kelly wasn't the guardrail to anything. John Kelly was not the president. He was the chief of staff. He wasn't the president, so he had no decision-making when it comes to if somebody wants to go rogue or if they want to follow the law. Trump did an incredible job lowering regulations, lowering taxation, increasing our strength and standing in the world, and this woman is afraid that she won't get the power that she desires.
Those who once tried to stop him from pursuing his worst impulses would no longer be there.
What does that even mean, those who tried to stop him from his worst impulses? He was the president. He could have done any impulse he wanted, and we actually had 4 pretty good years.
And no longer be there to rein him in.
So John Kelly, who got fired, was able to rein him in? That's why we didn't have something crazy going on in the White House?
So the bottom line is this.
The bottom line is this. You're reading this entire statement, and none of it makes any sense.
We know what Donald Trump wants.
Yes, he wants to be the president again.
He wants unchecked power.
Untrue. He had power and did not go unchecked and didn't do the things that you're suggesting.
The question in 13 days will be, what do the American people want? Thank you.
And then she walks away, says thank you, and walks away. She said it was going to be a press conference. It wasn't. Says thank you and walks away. What is that other than a fit of desperation, saying things based on the words of one guy who lost his job for being bad at the job? Keep in mind, this is the same guy who pretended that Trump said the suckers line. Not the losers, I think, but the suckers line. Then the Atlantic made up this whole suckers and losers thing. This woman is so scared she's going to lose and is now willing to say or do anything to make sure it doesn't happen. Give me your comments. Make sure you spread this around. I know this was long, but I wanted you to get the entire context of what she said. She walked out, didn't take any questions, made a statement that they worked on, I guess, for a whole day while she was off and relaxing. And then she has to read the entire thing and just says a bunch of words that don't make any sense. Because it was only 4 years ago the guy was the president. None of what she's alleging was happening. None of it. Give me your thoughts. Give me your comments. Make sure you share this. Make sure you're following. Come on.